The goal of the narcissist is to absorb your characteristics without actually having to do any of these things themselves. They are trying to manipulate your perception of reality. It's all about perception. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Renee Mija. I'm a musician and a sociologist. I graduated from the top school in the country in sociology. I have 5 degrees, but I've also experienced this stuff in my interpersonal life, my personal life, case studies, academic studies, observation, etc. So let's talk about with narcissistic psychopaths and narcissistic sociopaths, secret competitions. All right. The first thing you need to understand is when you met the narcissist, you were not actually meeting them. You were meeting a collection of the personalities they acquired and the people they acquired over the years, as well as the victims. So when you met the narcissist, you weren't actually meeting them. You were meeting a catalog, a collection of everybody who they've interacted with. This is because narcissists take on the personalities, the characteristics, and the traits of their victims and of the people around them. So that person that you befriended, fell in love with, took a liking to, that was not actually them. One of the ways that they collect this data is through secret competitions. For a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath, their self-worth is based on their relation with others. Because they lack self-identity and self-reflection, you essentially become their mirror. In the beginning, when you're demonstrating healthy emotions such as self-esteem, confidence, vitality, happiness, etc., that's when the narcissist loves you because you become the perfect mirror. You become the mirror of everything they want to be. But by the time the narcissist begins to devalue you, it's because you're displaying characteristics they no longer want to mirror. This is because narcissists display a form of negative reciprocity, which basically means that whatever you give them, they give you back less. So as a result of this relationship and condition, eventually it's going to get to a place to where you're worn down or you're dissatisfied with your connection with the narcissist. However, when this happens, the narcissist will begin to devalue you. Because you are displeased with their behavior, because you disapprove of their behavior, because you're looking at them with doubt or uncertainty, which are all the emotions that they carry, they begin to devalue you because you're no longer reflecting what they want to be in the idealization or love bombing phase. And now instead, you're reflecting to them what they are on the inside, or you're beginning to reflect to them what they are on the inside. The problem is with this cycle that as you try to gain rapport with them in order to improve the situation, let's say you start inquiring about them more, asking them questions, being kinder to them, stressing about whatever interactions you guys have had, the more you are trying to gain a rapport or feeling uncertain or feeling unsure, the more they begin to devalue you. With a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath, there's no getting better. Unfortunately, the relationship will never improve, and they will continue to traumatize you, which we'll talk about that at another part, but it keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. They're energy vampires, but there are also spiritual components to this. If you haven't noticed now in my tapes, we get into different levels of it. We get into the psychological elements, we get into the emotional elements, we get into the very practical elements, but there are also much deeper and darker spiritual components, which we have just begun to get into, and we'll get into that a little bit more. We'll get into that a little bit more soon. When the narcissist feels that sense of disapproval from you, that's when they understand that you are potentially questioning the relationship, having doubt about the relationship. And as a result, they see that as a sign that you're about to abandon them. And as a result, they begin that devaluation process. All of the confidence that a narcissist has is superficial. It's superficial glib. They believe in fake it until you make it. A narcissistic psychopath or sociopath believes that if they say something enough times, it makes it real. And as a result, that's why you're going to see with them smear campaigns, witchcraft attacks, negative, abusive things that they will try to do in order to mess with your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, your sense of identity. This comes from the fact that they believe that if they say it enough times and if they can get you to believe it, no matter how untrue it is, that is what is going to make it real. This is why a smear campaign is so crucial to a narcissist during the discard phase, but we'll get to that in just a moment. In addition, when you trigger an abandonment wound for a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath, you get placed in the category of people that have hurt them in the past. You're just like my ex, you're just like my family member, you're just like this person or that person. You're one of them. I thought you were this during the idealization love bombing phase, but it turns out you're just one of them. And it makes it easier for the narcissist to devalue you, to discard you, and to confuse and manipulate you as well. Because they do not have the ability to self-reflect, they will not hold themselves accountable in these situations. During the smear campaign, or right before the beginning of the discard, this is where the secret competition comes into play. The narcissist will begin to take on your positive attributes and your positive characteristics secretly behind your back so they can assign whatever positive behaviors that you had to them. For example, if you go to church every week on Sunday, if you donate to charity events, if you whatever positive moral characteristics you had or you felt like you had, whatever was contrary to the narcissist. A better example would be, let's say that you didn't drink alcohol at all and they drank all of the time. The narcissistic psychopath or sociopath will take on a behavior of sobriety or will start mirroring traits that you had and characteristics that you had and then try to take on your behaviors so they can act like during the discard that it was you the whole time that was doing those bad things and they were simply trying to be the good person, the nice person. They do this on purpose. This is done because A, they're trying to manipulate you to other people. Again, remember the narcissists base their self-worth in how other people see them. So if they can get other people to see them as a stand-up person, a moral person, again, whatever characteristics they were trying to take on from you, it could be an ambitious person, a well-informed person. If they can get other people to believe that, they feel like that makes it real. So that's why they have to begin to secretly take on your positive attributes and positive characteristics. They might even ask you before the discard to hang out with them, to spend time with them, so they can absorb more of your traits and learn about you. During your time with a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath, they are studying you. They are trying to learn every flaw. They're trying to learn everything good about you, everything bad about you, so they can try to take on that behavior. This also, if you're not careful, puts you in a predicament where the narcissistic psychopath or sociopath can even start to confuse and manipulate you, which is why it's so crucial that if you cut them off, to not look at their social media. If they were a person that drank all the time, that partied all the time, that was extremely immoral, that engaged in reckless behavior, all of a sudden they're engaging in the opposite behavior. They're taking on the activities that you enjoyed. They are about clean and sober living. They're safe. They are healthy, at least as far as how they're portraying it to the public. And as a result, you may start to get confused and doubt yourself and start thinking, well, maybe I was the one that was reckless and drinking too much, or but no, I wasn't even drinking. It kind of messes with your head. The narcissistic psychopath or sociopath is doing this on purpose because they are trying to manipulate your perception of reality. It's all about perception. Let's say, for example, the narcissist, like many of them do, have poor work ethics. They will try to make it out like you were the one that had the poor work ethic. And then when you see them on social media after the discard, they're working hard, they're doing all these things that you were doing, and you start getting confused. Now you're drained or exhausted or hurt or sad about the discard, and you're going back and you're trying to think, well, maybe they were hardworking, or maybe I was holding them back, or nope, that's how they do that whole swap thing. And it's very important to know when you get out of a relationship, friendship, etc. with a narcissistic psychopath or sociopath, it is so important to go back to your original routine, what you were originally doing, and remember who you are. Can't wait to talk to you guys a little bit more. We will be going into a lot of the darker elements, hidden elements, and some pretty heavy, deep stuff as we go along. But right now, we're just kind of, one step at a time. It's all very valid. All of these things are important to understand, as well as the spiritual elements, because it's important to have that foundation so we can really understand what's going on and see it for what it actually is. I'll talk to you later. Have a great rest of the day.